Meg Stapleton is a former aide to the governor. She's joining us now live from Anchorage. Meg, thanks very much for coming in.
Oh, thank you, Wolf. It's an honor to be here.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, I don't know if you know anything about this whole eBay plane story, but if you do, tell us what you know.
Well, Wolf, I was actually a part of that. That was one of the #1 priorities, to be honest with you, when she took office, because it was that symbol of corruption. It was a symbol of the previous entrenched establishment that she took on and succeeded in beating. It was a luxury jet that no one in Alaska wanted the governor to ride in. The legislature didn't want the governor to ride in. They refused to appropriate the dollars. He said, I don't care. I want a luxury jet. So he bought the luxury jet anyway, and he bought it for too much money. It couldn't even land on half the strips in Alaska as it was. And this governor said, enough. This is exactly what we're fighting. Wasteful spending. The establishment that says, I don't care what Alaskans say, I want to do what I want to do. With that symbol, she said, let's get rid of it. What's the best way to do it? Before we go ahead and hire that broker, why don't we do it in a free manner where it costs minimal dollars? I think it was, I don't know, it was very few dollars. Let's put it on eBay. Put it on eBay, we let it go through a couple rounds. We didn't get the attention because he bought it for too much money. The state paid too much money for it, and eventually you had to concede and say, how often are we going to pay these bills and waste more state dollars? And so they did say, and a broker came in, we brought the broker in and said, find a buyer. We found a buyer. It went for $2.1 million bucks. And we did save the state dollars, and that jet, she never stepped in, and we got rid of the symbol of corruption in Alaska.
So just to be precise, she said you put it up on eBay, unfortunately didn't sell on eBay, but then you sold it through a broker, just to be precise. Is that right?
That is correct. At the same time, that eBay drew the attention of so many around America who did place bids in there, not high enough that we felt was good to command an actual sale. And so that's when we brought in a broker in the end to make sure that it went for the top dollar that we could get. But that eBay drew the attention and drew lots of interest, and I hope it drew the attention of the person that actually ended up with it.
All right, let's talk about these two gentlemen. Mike Wooten, the brother-in-law, the state trooper. You just heard what he said to Drew Griffin. Go ahead and tell us what you think, what you know about this part of the story.
Well, I think it just points again to this governor and what she's done, because she's coming here and she's trying to reform things. Look, Wolf, I'll tell you, this is the most ethical, honest individual I have ever met in my entire life. And no offense to my family. My family's incredibly ethical and honest. But this woman, she lives and breathes it every single moment and in every decision. In this state government, she has lived and breathed it. She had nothing to do with the pressure to fire Monaghan over Wooten. That is absolutely ridiculous and absurd. And in fact, Monaghan just this week said there was never any pressure to fire Wooten, not from the governor, not from Todd, not from any member of the staff. So for him to be going back and forth and all over and drawing in excuses that were absurd and ridiculous, we can't keep up with him at this point, and it's so politically motivated. I've never seen such a political circus in the city of Anchorage.
Why does she want to move the jurisdiction of this investigation from the state legislature, the Alaska legislature, which has been involved in it, and they said they'd come up with a resolution by the end of October. She's now asking that it be moved to a separate state personnel board, of which 3 of the members were appointed by Governor Palin.
First of all, let me correct that in terms of the personnel board and the appointees. It's true the governor appoints them. They were holdovers from the Murkowski administration. Frank Murkowski appointed that personnel board. So these are not governor's friends. These are Frank Murkowski's friends. Again, the same entrenched establishment she took on. So let's make that perfectly clear. Secondly, this governor, we believe the only legal way to look at this investigation is through the personnel board, because we believe that is the only place where there is jurisdiction to investigate personnel matters. It is absolutely clear, and I was in the ethics briefings with Commissioner Monaghan the moment she took office. She sat down and she had ethics supervisors, and pardon me if you can't hear me over the plane, but she had ethics supervisors brief all of us, the entire cabinet and the immediate staff, as to the direction and the appropriate channels. If you ever have a problem, if there's ever a perceived conflict of interest, I want you to immediately report it to a supervisor in the AG's office, not in her office, not the governor. She made sure to separate that. Commissioner Monaghan, if he ever had a problem, ever, knew the appropriate channels, and this is another appropriate channel, the Personnel Board. There is nothing politically motivated about it.
Because the accusation is that she's hired an attorney. The attorney says move the jurisdiction to the State Personnel Board away from the state legislature, even though earlier she said, you know what, I have nothing to hide. Let the state legislature investigate. And they said they would resolve this by the end of October. But now that she's a vice presidential nominee, it could be delayed beyond the election if it goes to before this other body. What's wrong with the state legislature completing the investigation it had started weeks ago?
Because first of all, we don't believe they have the appropriate legal authority. Secondly, when that legislative council took this on, Wolf, they made two things perfectly clear. One, this would never be partisan and would they keep it at arm's length. And second, that they would never have a timeline that was stated. Arm's length has not been kept. In fact, the lead person in that, Senator Hollis French, has come out on numerous occasions in network television as well as in national publications that wait till you see what's coming out, or this is going to be damaging to the vice presidential nomination. This could lead to impeachment. How the heck do you begin to have an impartial investigation when you have the lead person claiming all of these political accusations ahead of time? Secondly, by claiming, can't wait for this October surprise on the eve of the election, we're going to tell you and it's going to be damaging. That totally defeats the fact that you try to get the timing in as quickly as possible if you've already established an end round. The concern here, and some Representative John Coghill from the Interior region actually today sent a letter to Senator Kim Elton saying the problem here is this is no longer a nonpartisan issue. This is politically motivated, and we need to make sure to remove Senator Hollis French from this because politics is definitely an inherent part of this process right now.
One clarification, Meg. The 3 personnel members who were appointed by the former governor Murkowski, did she reappoint them? Is that what you're saying? That's why they were holdovers? Did she personally reappoint them?
Wolf, there were 3 Personnel Board appointees. Only one has come up, and she did reappoint that person. All 3 were Frank Murkowski appointees, and one she reappointed.
So she thinks that's the way to go. That would be fair to let someone who she appointed review this very sensitive matter?
I'm sorry, I'm missing the last part of
I know, you got planes landing. You got planes landing. Well, let me just repeat the question. Hold on a second. Does she think it's fair that someone she appointed to the State Personnel Board should be in charge, should have jurisdiction in reviewing what is obviously a very sensitive matter?
Alaska state law believes it, Wolf. Alaska state law is where she turns to look to see who should handle this. And the Alaska state law dictates that for personnel problems and the ethics violations, you go to the Personnel State Board. This isn't the governor saying it, this is the law saying it.
Meg Stapleton, I know it was hard to hear me with those little planes landing and taking off. Thanks very much. I hope you'll come back and join us in the Situation Room.
Thank you, I'd be honored. Thank you, Wolf.
And congratulations to you for having your good friend, your former boss, about to be, well, she is the vice presidential nominee, and she may someday be vice president of the United States. You must be very excited about that.
Oh, we are thrilled and excited, and she really showed America what we've all seen, and you saw it the other night at the convention. She is an incredible person, and everybody falls in love with her the second they meet her.